The Little Mermaid Story, a tale of forbidden love and sacrifice. In the depths of the ocean, there lived a mermaid named Marina, whose heart was filled with a love for singing and a yearning to explore the world beyond the waters. However, her curiosity was bound by the strict rule of the Sea King, forbidding her from venturing too close to the shore until she gained his approval. Finally, on reaching the age of 18, Marina was granted permission to approach the shore, but under the condition that she remain concealed from the sight of humans or face dire consequences. Despite this decree, Marina would often swim to the surface, perching atop rocks and singing for hours, lost in wonder at the marvels of the world above the sea. One fateful day, as she sang her heart out, she caught sight of a handsome young man nearing the shore. Fearing discovery, she plunged into the water, but her fascination with the boy grew with each passing moment. As she continued to sing, she noticed that the boy had followed her song, leaning over the pier and gazing out to the sea. Suddenly, the boy lost his footing and tumbled into the water, thrashing and gasping for air as he struggled to stay afloat. Marina watched in horror, torn between the Sea King's orders and the desperate need to save the boy. In the end, her compassion won out, and she rushed to his aid, dragging him to the shore and disappearing back into the sea once he had regained consciousness. Yet, the little mermaid's act of bravery was not without risk, for the boy had glimpsed her form as she rescued him. Though he searched for her afterwards, she remained hidden from view, watching from afar to ensure his safety. Marina's heart ached at the thought of the punishment she would face for breaking the king's law, but she knew she had done the right thing in saving the boy's life. Days had passed since Marina had rescued the young prince from certain death, and the tranquil peace of the sea was shattered by the alarming news brought to her by a concerned friend. The Sea King had issued a strict decree forbidding any of his subjects to venture near the shore, for the humans living on the nearby island had reportedly spotted one of the mermaids and were determined to capture a sea creature. Marina's heart sank as she realized the dire consequences of her actions, and the weight of guilt and fear descended upon her like a leaden cloak. Under the cover of night, Marina dared to surface, her heart pounding with trepidation as she surveyed the scene before her. She swam cautiously, her eyes scanning the horizon until she saw a vast multitude of lights flickering on the surface of the water. Her heart sank as she realized that the sea was teeming with boats, their crews eagerly searching for the elusive creature that had saved the prince. Marina overheard two fishermen discussing their mission to locate the wonder creature, and her heart skipped a beat when she learned that the boy she had rescued was none other than a prince. Despite the danger, Marina listened in on their conversation, learning that the prince was convinced that the one who had saved him belonged to the sea. The mere thought of being discovered filled her with a sense of dread, but she remained hidden, listening in secret as the fishermen scoffed at the prince's claims, dismissing them as mere delusions brought on by his brush with death. Nonetheless, the prince was resolute, convinced that the one who had saved him was a girl who had been frightened and fled. Marina knew that the prince's suspicions would only intensify the search for her, and she knew that her fate was now tied to his, for better or for worse. Marina's heart sank as she recounted her actions to the Sea King. She knew she had to face the consequences of her actions and find a way to solve the crisis that had befallen her people. The punishment was severe. The sea witch would transform her into a human with legs instead of a tail and take away her voice. Marina would be banished to the land forever, never to return to the depths of the sea again. As she struggled to walk on the beach with her new legs, Marina was approached by an old lady who took pity on her and offered her a job as a cook's assistant in the castle. Marina worked tirelessly, grateful for the kindness of the woman who had given her a chance. One fateful day, while carrying a heavy basket of vegetables, Marina caught the eye of the young prince who was training in the castle garden. In an instant, he recognized her as the girl who had saved him from drowning. Overwhelmed with emotion, he rushed to her side. Desperate to communicate with the prince and tell him the truth, Marina could only bow her head in sorrow, her voice silenced forever by the sea witch's curse. She went inside the castle, tears streaming down her face, knowing that she could never reveal her true identity to the one person who had touched her heart. As the sun set, Marina made her way to the shore, her heart heavy with longing for her home in the depths of the sea. She knew she could never return, not after the Sea King's punishment, but the witch had left her a gift, the ability to sing. So, with a heavy heart, she began to sing, her voice carrying over the waves. Unbeknownst to her, the prince had been following her to the shore every evening. He was captivated by her singing, and with each passing night, he grew more certain that she was the one who had saved him. He watched her from the shadows, unable to tear his gaze away from her. And then, one evening, he could stand it no longer. He emerged from the shadows and approached her. He told her that he knew who she was, even though she could not speak to him. He understood that her sorrowful songs were an expression of her pain and loneliness, of being cast out from her home as punishment for saving him. Filled with a deep sense of compassion, the prince promised to order his people to stop searching the sea for her. Maybe, he thought, if she were free from the threat of capture, her family would take her back. He looked into her eyes, and she could see the truth in his words. There was a warmth in his gaze, a tenderness that set her heart aflame. As the days passed, the prince would make his way to the shore to listen to Marina's melodic singing. Gradually, Marina began to find comfort in his presence and even began to relish the moments when he would hear her sing. Under the radiant light of the full moon, the prince summoned his courage and bared his heart to the little mermaid. He confessed that he had been captivated by her beauty and grace ever since the day she saved him. Though he understood she could not reply, he could no longer suppress his own feelings for her. With tender affection, he placed a gentle kiss upon her lips. In a miraculous instant, Marina's legs began to transform back into her shimmering tail, and she leapt joyfully into the sea. The prince waited for hours, staring longingly at the water's edge, but Marina did not return to him. As the sun rose over the horizon, he sorrowfully gathered himself from the sand and returned to the castle, tears of heartbreak welling in his eyes. The prince's heart was heavy with sorrow, and he refused to see anyone that day. He didn't even eat, consumed by his despair. As night fell, he could no longer bear being cooped up in his room, so he ventured out to the beach one last time, hoping to catch a glimpse of Marina, even for a fleeting moment. Upon arriving at the shore, his eyes met with an astounding sight. There stood Marina, her tail transformed into 2 legs and a wide grin spread across her face. The prince's heart leapt with joy, and he ran towards her, embracing her tightly. Marina then spoke for the first time, revealing that the witch's curse had been lifted by the Sea King, who had partially forgiven her transgressions. She could now transform into a mermaid only during the full moon, and her voice had been restored. She then professed her love for the prince and promised to never leave him. With their love fully blooming, the prince and the little mermaid tied the knot and went on to live a life of blissful happiness.